Welcome to Thriving Teen Masterclass. I'm Sylvia Kozierzak, and this is my Teen Masterclass, Understanding Your Teen. My name is Sylvia Kozierzak again, and these are my qualifications. I've been working with pet guardians for over 30 years in a variety of capacities in regards to behavior, training, working in shelters for rescues, as well as veterinary hospitals, and my own business. So I am a certified professional dog trainer and behavior consultant, as well as a dynamic dog practitioner, and have certification with the separation anxiety trainers and fear-free certified. So I rely on positive and fear-free methods. So I love for owners to learn how to unleash their dog's potential one concept at a time, and that is how I look at things. If we use fun concepts, we get some really great results. I do offer behavior consulting, I do behavior assessments, as well as concept dog training, virtual one-to-ones, assessments, and groups. If you're local to me, I love working with owners in person, and I also have digital learning products. So the other thing that I'm hoping to launch, you might be interested in, is a membership. And this is a great way to help you stay accountable, work on your training goals, and access to training content from a behavior trainer that's going to be in your pocket. So we're going to do monthly Zoom meetings. We're going to work on training challenges for you to grow your dog and just to have a safe place for you to share. It's going to be reasonable and $150 a year or $15 a month. And I'm going to present to you a lot of concepts that are going to help through your dog's struggles or just the continued learning that you want your dog to have. This is a teen masterclass, so I do have a teen toolbox if you want to do self-paced, and these are the things that it focuses on. Each sector will build on core skills and progress through different milestones until you master each area, and you'll have a clear step-by-step instruction to help you navigate through your problems. There are videos, handouts, journal diary, training trackers, and a workbook. There isn't really group work unless you are part of the membership. And so this is what is in the toolbox. So for tonight, this is a section of understanding your adolescent dog. And today's topics is how they learn, what is adolescence, bonding with your teen, the importance of scent, focus, building new behaviors, touch sensitivity, understanding play, finding your dog's motivation. And what you want to start understanding is that your dogs will be behaving differently because their neurophysiological setup at this age is just at a developmental stage. So they're going to be acting first and thinking later. Temptations are going to be acted upon. Frustrations will be really high. And the reward chemistry is activated through engagement rather than anticipation. And I'll show you a couple of games that will help with the engagement part. Adults get reward chemistry released from the anticipation of their reward. And during teen, the reward chemistry is activated through the actual engagement. So temptations are going to be acted upon. And like I say, frustrations will happen quicker. Problem solving should be successful always during this phase. Otherwise, that's where you'll start seeing the frustrations. And novelty you want to introduce in a calm manner. So when it comes to canine development, there are several stages they go through. This is one of them. And it's probably one of the most challenging stages because now they don't need you anymore. And they're not following you around, and they're not necessarily wanting to respond so quickly. So it is a session where a stage where the sexual maturity, social maturity are happening. It can start anywhere from 4 months, go up to 36 months. Some say 24 months, but it actually, in reality, we are looking more at 36 months, and it definitely will depend on your breed and the individual that they are. So this time has a lot of changes happening in their body and in their brains. They may look grown up, but they are a far cry from being an adult. So they are becoming bigger and physically stronger, and they're starting to realize it. They will grow in spurts, and this can lead to an imbalance in your teen's body. So they might seem clumsy because they haven't developed the skill and awareness of their body, which is called proprioception. They might also experience discomfort associated with the rapid growth, and they can start to dislike harnesses, touch on certain parts of their body. Their hormone levels are rising, and changes to the brain chemistry also means that teens can, like I said, take more risky behavior to find excitement and pleasure, because that is the reward that they're getting from it. So they're more likely to be interested in other dogs, scents, and exploration. And this is when our dogs get into trouble, which was tolerated by others as a puppy, and becomes a problem as they get older. So our dogs, because of their great interest, leads our dogs into trouble, and also behaviors which were maybe tolerated by other dogs as a puppy. Is now going to be a problem. The infamous Dr. Ian Dunbar has described this teen phase as a dog carrying a big beacon on their head and saying, "I am a jerk." And this is where you will see other dogs and even adult dogs not tolerate your teen dog. So this is definitely a period where dogs get easily frustrated. Then so do we. Then that's what's so great about positive reinforcement training, and concept training and game training, is we can quickly and easily redirect our dogs onto something else instead of trying for the stop. You're going to be way further ahead, and the teen brain cannot handle the stop. Your frustration is going to create frustration in them, and you're going to be way further ahead in redirecting them in the long run. And always, anyway. It's also a time when your dog needs many repetitions, as it looks like their learning is lost. So don't worry, especially if you've put in a really good base as a puppy. It's not that they don't know it. These are learning blips, and it's information for you that your dog is going through that growth spurt, and it might be time for some decompression. So chewing, licking, and nose work is what you want to rely on during this period always. The good news is, like I said, with foundations and continued learning, and appropriate exposure to the world around them, this stage is temporary, and you're going to emerge on the other side with a wonderful adult dog. So yes, teenage dogs, it's a thing. As your dog matures, puppy behaviors will fade, and in turn, your puppy turns into a teenager, which is a whole different set of struggles. And some struggles may still be puppy related. Others will be developed because of the surge in hormones and changes in the body. So it can be challenging, but you'll be fine. One of the most important concepts that I like owners to take home is the calmness protocol. And this concept is really vital for our puppies, or especially our teen dogs, as they're growing and their hormones are surging. And making those impulsive decisions. Their emotional and stress bucket is going to be filling easily and a lot. Like I say, there's frustrations, the changes in their body, they're feeling something is off. So dogs that are practicing and understand calmness will be less likely prone to unwanted behaviors, because now we are actually working on changing the brain for it to look for calmness. So with all the training concepts, you want to practice calmness at home with fewer distractions, and a lot more control over your environment. Employing this triad. So, calmness protocol is very easy. If you see your dog lying down and just chillaxing, and even with their eyes closed, you can ninja up to your dog and place a treat in front of their nose. And that's a repetition of calmness, as well as I wouldn't encourage touching. The other is the passing calming activities, and that's the licking, chewing, and nose work. So this is really important for their brain, and actually is making those pathways stronger. Rest is really important. Always, a lot of owners don't realize that teenage dogs need a lot of rest. Maybe not quite as much as a puppy, but they still need quite a bit of time. It's often seen that, up to 20 hours. So making sure they have their crates, their pens, their rooms where they can really chill. If you have a noisy house, and all that activity is keeping your dog activated, then getting them used to chilling in their own space where it's quiet will really help. And this is where, we're emptying their stress bucket. So many dogs, like I say, it's a hard time. And this is when they may start looking at their world through a more pessimistic lens. It's a basic survival instinct to avoid novel situations in the wild. So this is where it comes from. So events and objects is something that they're being a little more wary of, if especially those that have not been exposed to. But you will sometimes even see things that your puppy was fine with. Now your adolescent might be looking at it with a more pessimistic lens. This is when you start seeing outbursts of barking and lunging, out of result of the uncertainty. Perhaps your adolescent is now fearful, and as a guardian, it's your role now to help turn this pessimism into optimism. And that's easiest done with no pressure, concept type fun training games. So, they're going to go, oh my God, there's a dog. Is it good or is it bad? They just got closer. Is it good? Is it bad? They just moved. Is it good? Is it bad? So their brains are going through all of this, and we need to just pull back and take a break. Use the calmness strategies even while out and about, avoiding situations, so that your dog is not able to practice unwanted behaviors. You can use scatter feeding. You can use this everywhere. You can use it in the house. You can use it before you go out the door. You can use it as soon as you step out the door. You can use it in environments where your dog may seem a little more pessimistic, and you can use it in the backyard. It's great as a conversation starter. And, do think about limiting some of your walks if you're seeing some explosions. A lot of owners think that they just need to do it and their dogs will get over it, and that can have the opposite effect. So you want to really look at that, and maybe giving your dog a break. If your dog has had a really big outburst and it was like, oh my God, then give them a break. Give them a break for a day, give them a break for 2 days, and give them activities at home instead. And you can ditch the walk just for a little bit, because you really do not want to rehearse that unwanted behavior. It is a behavior, but it also is an emotion, and you don't want that growing in the direction. You want them to grow in the right direction. So, engage in other activities, look at skilling up, look at maybe not going as far, maybe not going into the environments that are causing that. So this is just a picture of some of the different foraging toys. There are so many on the market now. This is this older picture, but we've got lick mats. We've got items that we can stick things in where dogs are licking, the Kongs, the wobblers, the snuffle mats for sniffing. Using a Kong is great. It's one of the first items on the market many years ago. It, um, it's a great tool. It can help with weight management, so you can ration out your dog's calories and they just get it out of the Kong. A little bit more of a slow feeder. So if you're reducing kibble, the extension of eating the food, they'll feel more satiated. Great for crate training, digging, barking. Often if those are out of boredom, the Kongs will be very helpful. Prevention for separation anxiety. It doesn't cure separation anxiety. Help with keeping their teeth clean and the chewing phase that adolescent dogs will go through. So the key is 3. I do recommend doing a minimum for adolescents, 3 foraging toys, and that can include nose work. So having them ready to go will be helpful for you. Getting them ready, filled up, put in the fridge or in the freezer. Here we have the West Paws. The orange is a topple, so a little more cup-like. There's some sprigs in the middle. You can fill those up. The blue is really nice for holding bully sticks. My dogs do love those. I have one that's really addicted to the bully stick. So those are helpful, other items for them to chew. So you want to look at that as well. And looking at your dog's stress bucket, you want to understand what the natural state of the bucket, perhaps the baseline for your dog's bucket is higher. It can be higher during adolescence. It's definitely higher if your dog is more anxious and fearful. And you want to look at what's filling the bucket. Even positive and exciting activities are going to fill the bucket. It's not always the negative. Frustration is going to fill the bucket. Obviously, frightening things are going to fill the bucket. So being aware and how you can influence these can change your approach to your training. So if there was something that paid into the bucket, you can make a withdrawal by giving your dog something calming to do. So looking at how dogs learn, they learn 2 main ways. There are other ways as well, by association and through consequence. So the first, by association, is always happening. Every moment of the day, your dog is linking how they're feeling with what they are experiencing in their environment. If they're happy and safe, they will form positive associations to things around them. If they are startled or feel scared, they will naturally link this feeling to what they see, hear, feel, or smell around them at that time. So that means each environment is going to have a different feel. The second way of learning is through consequence, which is really effective at shaping dogs' behavior. When their actions lead to rewarding consequences, they will repeat them more often. An example might be your dog sitting in front of you and you reach down to pet them. If your dog loves interacting with you, they're likely to come and sit in front of you again. So that is reinforcements do build behavior. If instead the consequence is something your dog dislikes, they will be less likely to do that behavior again. So maybe, for an example, they jumped up on the countertop and they slipped, and they spooked themselves. Your dog may likely be less likely to jump up again, but there's going to be fallout for the unpleasant consequence, depending. Um, Remember, learning is by association. So this example where your dog might not jump up on the countertop anymore, but they will become wary if the kitchen floor was slippery, and now they may be wary of slippery surfaces as a result. So that's why it's important not to resort to punishing your dog if they're doing things that you don't want them to do. You don't want to scare your dog or risk that they will learn to distrust you. Your relationship is one of the most important things in the world. So I want you to have that great relationship. And then instead of training, um, it, you're going to help your dogs learn what you'd like them to do by rewarding everything you like, setting up their environment so that they can make good choices. And if they make a mistake, direct them to what you'd like them to do instead. So these are the different ways where you can build new behavior. Shaping is where which involves gradually teaching a new dog new behavior by rewarding them with every little step in the right direction. So, an example would be, your dog is 2 feet away from you, and they move towards you. That's the start of a recall. Then the next step might be they're 3 feet away from you and they still take a step towards you in the right direction, and you reward that. So that's just one little example. Luring is where you actually take a treat in front of your dog's nose and they follow it, and you can manipulate them and move them into move their body into a sit, a down, um, uh, re, uh, a come here, and other behaviors. So capturing involves rewarding behaviors that your dog does naturally. So if your dog lies down and you haven't asked for it, you can reward that. Targeting is where your dog follows your hand or an object closely with their nose to complete an action. So you can target other body parts. They learn to follow your hand. It's a great way to move them around instead of just yanking them by the collar. So, you know, dogs are learning from, you know, if from a really early age your dog got to play with dogs in the other neighborhood, what are some of the pros and cons? So, there's a lot of great pros and there's a lot of great cons. So, if they learn that every time they see the dog in the neighborhood, they get to play with it, do they become overexcited when they see other dogs and think that every dog they see is someone they get to play with? The socialization aspect is great. The opportunity to play with their own species is great. But then now, where does your dog learn that sometimes it's none of your business? And they do need to learn that. Otherwise, they'll get frustrated. And you can see leash frustrations arise from that. And there's other cons to it as well. Embrace your failures. This is a period where we need to learn from our dogs. So embracing the failures is a great guide in dog training. It's not necessarily a setback, but a valuable source of information. And in my experience working with clients and their canine companions, I've come to appreciate the missteps as crucial aspect of learning process. When a dog doesn't exhibit the behavior that we're working for, it's not necessarily a misstep. It's a form of communication. It's information for us. And I try to really emphasize that that is definitely information for us. And because dogs are constantly providing us with information. And even when they don't meet the goal within the step, they're giving us valuable insights. This information serves as a guide. It sheds light on various aspects of our process, and it tells us about our approach. It tells us, are our expectations made clear? Was the progression too fast? What did we overlook a step? Did we make it too hard? And these are things that you want to think about. Maybe we need to do more gradual. Maybe we need to do shorter sessions. Maybe we made it too complex. And if our dogs are getting frustrated during the learning process, then that's not a good thing. We don't want that, especially during this developmental period. So we want to look at what we're looking, and instead of looking at them negatively, stop and ask yourself, have I trained this? And if you're answering yourself no, then that self-reflection is information for you that, okay, well, we need to train through this, we need to refine our methods, we need to make it easier, so that we don't want to we want success. We don't want a lot of failures. Some trainers believe in failures being information, but then during this phase, it can lead to a lot of frustrations, and that's not what you want. So, don't dismiss this as disobedience, but recognize it as information, and that you need more training, you need the repetition. Just, something as simple as an adolescent dog tempted to chew on outdoor furniture. Let's recognize it. What's happening? Where, maybe there's a need. Likely, possible. There's still some teething. Jaws are still forming. and they may be looking for relief. So we can set that up for a success. Um, so this will be a time where you think all you say is no. We could use punishment, but why would you? Okay, when it's going to elicit an emotional response that you likely don't want. So be careful what you ask for. Instead, this phase is really important that you stay in the yes camp. I think we always should, but it's never perfect. Sometimes there are some no's, and focus on teaching your dog what you do want them to do instead, and encourage their cognitive engagement. Remember, their adolescent brain will be struggling, and they will struggle with no. So I do teach my dogs no. It's meant to be an interrupter. So when they stop, they get rewarded. So it becomes a yes. So there's less frustrations behind that. And, we do sometimes need to interrupt our dog. And we can use no in that way. We can also use a noise to interrupt them. But you want to give them that positive feedback so they understand. So this is just an empty, no, it's not an empty bowl, but it's, we can ditch the bowl when we're training our dogs and using a lot of foraging toys. We can create variety, so kibble, some fresh food, air dried food. You can think of different things that will, your dogs will want to be engaging for. And what does your dog's reinforcement history look like? Are you overpaying one behavior and not paying other behaviors enough? So that's something to think about during your training process. Create a reinforcement rich life. Focus on growing your dog's emotions and behaviors during this time to build your relationship. This stage has many learning blips, as I've mentioned, and I will repeat. So your dog needs your support to guide them in a positive and fun way. Have fun while providing that clarity, and absolutely teach them boundaries through management. Management is something that I do see a lot of guardians, they're lacking in that. Teach your dogs concepts in a variety of ways. Show them in every way that you can, in as many pictures as you can. Dogs do not do well in generalization, and especially in the adolescent phase. So deposits and withdrawals will vary between dogs, but punishment is always withdrawal. And this includes nagging. So adolescent dogs can experience frustrations easier due to their brain development. And this has so much value. And, I had a message. I mean, I get a lot of messages, but I had one client just go like, wow, what a change when she went to the can do and ditched her nagging, and there was a really incredible shift, and she started practicing that with her child too, and there was a big switch. So even problem issues can seem to calm themselves. So fill up the tank and be ready to reward desired behavior. So having treat stations around the house is really helpful. Sometimes we don't have pockets on us, and being ready to reward behaviors at the front door, back door, in the kitchen, in the living room is going to be really helpful. So during adolescence, your dog can become touch sensitive. This is normal. So during adolescence, dogs can become touch sensitive over parts of their body due to the discomfort resulting from the growth. Why is this? Their body is growing. The musculoskeletal is still growing and developing. They may be, at the right height, but there's still a lot going on inside. So it's not uncommon for teen dogs to have growing pains, especially larger breeds, and some breeds are more predisposed. So that's why dog play can be a little bit tricky. They can hurt themselves easier. And you can see it in smaller breeds, more so when they've played too rough. I have seen that. So it's important that we recognize this and know what to look out for if your dog is uncomfortable. You might notice them behave out of character. So behavior is the number one way to um, learn whether your dog is in discomfort. Perhaps they're less settled and they don't like petting in certain areas of their body that never used to be an issue. It could be a growth spurt, especially if it's around a joint area. And if your dog is unhappy with being touched, they might turn away, lick their lips, close their mouth, start panting, pull their ears back, or even walk away. So you want to listen to those subtle cues. Sometimes your dogs may communicate that they want you to stop by growling or snapping in the air, and you may have missed those subtle cues. So now they had to move on to that. So it's important that you always listen to your dog and never punish them for communicating. It's like taking the batteries out of a fire detector. So that's information. And if you look for and respond to the subtle signs that your dog wants you to stop, they won't feel the need to escalate, and you will build more trust that way as well. You also might see your dog become reluctant to wear their harnesses during adolescence, avoiding you when you pick it up before a walk, could be even when you pick up the leash, and this might be due to discomfort. So you can look at switching the harness out to something more comfortable, or just using their collar. And, you know, you may need to switch that harness for a while. If you're concerned your dog may have some pain or discomfort, always consult your veterinarian. So there's lots of changes during this period of, development, and you really do want your support from your veterinarian. If he's not giving you the answers that um, you want, then you can always get a second opinion. So, um, you know, behavior change is one of the biggest clues for discomfort. So these are some of the common signs for discomfort, and you can take a snapshot of that. There's even more. The list is even bigger, and like I say, this is becoming the number one assessment for discomfort in dogs. If you're seeing those things, make sure you write them down if you want to have your dog assessed by your veterinarian. So some veterinarians are really experienced at assessing chronic or acute pain, and the chronic pain less so. A lot of them didn't learn that in university, and this is becoming a new area of understanding. So, do you like being hugged and kissed by everyone that you meet? Dogs, like some people, can be extremely sensitive. And if we're going back to touch sensitivity, and some dogs sometimes just are, are you giving your dog a choice? And this is where a 3-second rule can be really helpful for meet and greets between dogs. So, if they're on leash, you might want to just keep it short and then walk away, move away. It's also really great to test whether a dog is giving their consent to being petted by you. Begin, with just, the dog somewhere close to you, relaxed but free to leave if they wish. You don't want to keep them in place, and you can hold your hand out, palms down, fingers tucked under for them to sniff. And if they approach, you can offer a soft tickle under the chin or on the chest. Some dogs prefer to be stroked, particularly on the side of the face, under the chin, or on the front of the chest. Dogs do dislike on the top of the head. Other dogs like their back scratch just at the base of the tail, and some of them will present themselves to you for this extra enjoyment. Count slowly, 1, 2, 3. So you're using the 3-second rule, and slowly take your hand away. Slowly take your hand away. Does the dog move closer, or do they push back with their head or body into your hand, or lean into your touch? Does he offer a paw on your arm and ask you to continue? If you continue, then, is the dog relaxed and half closed eyes? Some dogs express enjoyment by being vocal. Some signs are harder to read. Is the dog licking his lips with his tongue, or licking up over his nose? Is he licking you? These signs can actually mean stop. And that's where you can, remove your hand slowly. And if they are nudging you back, then, you're getting that, yes, please go on. So some dogs will roll over, showing their tummies for a tickle. And this is very specific. So this can also be a sign of appeasement. So it's a good idea to remove your hand and try the 3-second rule again, giving the dog some space and a chance to relax. So the dog could push you away with his legs, front paws, back legs, or he could just be stretching. So the yawns can mean that they're anxious or stressed, especially with lowered ears, squinting, tight eyes, and tense muscles. And yawns can mean a dog is anxious or stressed. So just look at that. And again, using that 3-second rule. So when in doubt, reach out. There is more and more information coming out. It's not so recent anymore. For up to 80% of dogs with behavior issues have had some form of undiagnosed pain or discomfort that was contributing to the behavior. And this is, if you want, you can always message me for a copy of that. I do my dynamic dog practitioner qualification allows me to. I take a very complete history and collection of video and photos to look at for posture and gait. And that helps me suss out some commonalities and trends that might be happening for you to take to your vet to present to them. So that is important to understand, because behaviors are also a very big clue. And this is an age where musculoskeletal issues might start appearing, and that would be genetic. So in a study published by University of North Carolina, 40% of the dogs in the study between the age of 8 months and 4 years of age have osteoarthritis. So that sheds a lot of light on the significant aspect of our furry friends' well-being. And we do want to pay attention. It's not necessarily an, oh my God, but it's eye-opening. And that way you can, with your medical practitioner, help your dog feel comfortable. And even with a physio, finding out what is the appropriate exercise, because exercise is absolutely recommended for those with osteoarthritis. So who finds their dog still getting into things? And the importance of chewing is extremely important, because your dog may
During
still be
adolescence, your dog has
maybe
finished puppy teething,
their
but you will notice
puppy
them needing to
teething.
chew a lot.
Adolescent
During
chewing.
adolescence, your dog has finished puppy teething, but you will notice them needing to chew a lot. This is because they are developing muscles around their jaw to enable them to use their adult teeth effectively. It is important that you continue to provide your dog with lots of items to chew of varying texture so that they have an outlet for this need. If dogs don't have appropriate chew items to occupy them, then they may go in search of finding their own outlet and start to chew furniture or other items you don't want them to. Proactively giving your dog items to chew on will not only satisfy their need to chew, but also provide them with mental enrichment essential for their well-being. Be sure to keep your home tidy so that your dog doesn't have the chance to mistakenly chew on something they shouldn't, and use management when you leave them alone until they are well out of this phase of heavy chewing. Happy training!
So this is an example of, you may have seen the Himalayan yak chews. Those are hard press chew. Some dogs, I find some puppies really love them. So they're fairly safe. There's little crumbles that come off. Some dogs don't like them. My dogs love them as puppies, and as adults didn't care for them anymore. So what I do, they're expensive, so you don't want to be throwing them away. You can break off little pieces and put them in the microwave, and they pop up like this, and really great crunchy treats that they love and enjoy. But I will warn you, it is very, very messy. So you want to give it to your dog on their bed or on a safe space, or maybe outside. The topples, this just I just finished filling up my dog's topples. I just took some Greek yogurt, smashed up some blueberries, and put them in the topples. Either I'm going to give them to them or I'm going to stick it in the freezer. So your dog's nose is important. So there is, scent work is going to be really important for your dog. Um, Dogs have an incredible sense of smell. So compared to humans who only have 5 million scent receptors, dogs can have up to 300 million, depending on the breed. So they can detect subtle differences in odor, which may have it has a lot of applications in the world. Dogs can locate suspicious substances at airports and borders and detect cancer and diseases and search for missing people. They can search for cadavers. They can even alert to low blood sugars, seizures, people that do have anxiety, depression. But not every dog, of course, is going to be trained to this level. But there's many ways you can give your dog the opportunity to use this amazing scent. So it's no wonder sometimes our dogs don't want to walk in a straight line. They prefer the zigzag back and forth, sniffing every leaf, every blade of grass, lamppost, and mailbox, mail. The olfactory exploration is a dog's version of getting sucked into that new Netflix series. There's a whole story of smells unfolding before them. So it's important that dogs are given an outlet for this amazing sense. Not only is it incredibly enriching, but will help your dog acclimatize to new environments. It helps build confidence and relaxation through the familiarity. So next time you walk your dog, make sure to appreciate how many different smells and stories that are circulating through your dog's nose and brain. Instead of rushing your dog alone, let them sniff. Scent is how dogs understand their world, and it's our responsibility to enable them to experience this many wonders of the world. Some dogs like to smell more than others. I realize that often we take our dogs for a walk and we just want to walk, and that's, you can create a walk. You walked nicely with me. Now you get to sniff. So make sure you do give your dog that opportunity to practice that. So this is just an idea for you to do at home, um, because they love the scent. The aim of some of these games is to teach dogs how to tell us what they smell. We can observe our dogs and see how they work through it. So you can simply put some treats in the muffin tin and cover them with tennis balls or other toys and give it to your dog. And they need to figure out how they're going to get to the treats. So the box search is really cool. You just need to gather some empty boxes, clean boxes. Um, and while your dog is in another room, you can set the boxes up on the floor. How many will depend on you. I've had clients that have used tons of boxes and let their dogs just have a gay old time. Also builds confidence with the items. And then you can put treats in the box and then let your dog come into the room and find the treats in the box and praise as your dog finds each one. You can put treats in all the boxes and some of the boxes. Most important thing, let your dog figure it out on their own. And they'll, if they're a little hesitant, that's okay. You can praise them, but don't force them into this search game. If they're a little anxious, they'll get it. Um, During adolescence, you want to be sure to keep somewhat of a structured routine with your dogs. So our brains love predictable patterns. It reduces frustration. I think we can all agree on that. Even our human brains, we love the patterns. Most animals do. And, so this works really well, creating that predictability to reduce frustration in your dog during a time where so many things are happening to them mentally and physically. So, you can teach your dog to cue you when they need water, a snack, go potty, create a routine from the beginning. They need to know that they are going to be fed, that they are getting fresh water, that they do have the opportunity to potty, and that they do have an opportunity to rest. So you want to also, look at, I like to go from rest to training because now the brain is fresh. We can keep it short. It's a bonding exercise, a trust, a safety, it's mental stimulation. And then we can follow it up with breed appropriate exercise. And there's something that you want to make sure that you are jumping is not healthy for dogs, especially growing dogs. And the ball chuckers are very dangerous for growing dogs as well. You don't want them sliding into first base because dogs are designed for running, but not jumping and sliding into first base. And then you can follow that up with the calming, passive enrichment activity. The chewing, the licking. You can do just a little quick food search and then, go to rest. And that's a nice routine to set up for your dog. So this is what some of you can set up a schedule if you want. These are just some examples of different activities. The food puzzle toy, like the muffin tin. You don't have to buy the fancy puzzles. You can if you want. But I just make up some. I probably have some on my YouTube channel. I did uh, enrichment challenge, and I think I just used stuff from home. So there's stuff in there if you want to get some ideas. Walking, teaching them walking position for training, teaching them a settle. That's training. You can do a spin if you want, depending on the dog. They might be a bit sore to do that. Urban herding, you might walk out, be going for a walk, get up on logs, little rocks, stuff like that. Field trips, going to stores, Starbucks. You can give your dogs the socialization experience with sounds at really low decibels and have them chewing while they're listening to it. So they're learning to be calm when they hear those noises. Appropriate play. So this is something that you want to think about, even though they're developing rapidly. It, like I say, it takes them time to socially mature. You still want to give them the socialization and careful exposure. So looking at this, making sure you're matching your dog to other dogs that have the right play style, size, energy levels. So each dog is learning the experience. And, you want to advocate for your dog. That's why sometimes, dog parks can be dangerous for this developmental stage. Some dogs love to chase and be chased, body contact and wrestling. Your dog's going to have their individual style, and it just depends on their social history, their character, their breed. So good play no matter what should always look loose and wiggly. You should always be seeing crescent shapes in their bodies and as they move. So there should be space between the dog as they're moving back and forth. The other thing is you want to see a lot of turn taking with the chasing, being on top of each other, rolling underneath. And when they're really well versed, you want to see dogs that are actually disengaging to something else to calm themselves down again, like sniffing. Some adolescent dogs just have not had the chance to practice this enough to naturally moderate. Sometimes they need help. So it's important that you do help them to do this by taking and giving them a break in between play and keeping sessions short. Play sessions really shouldn't be more than 5 to 10 minutes, and that includes breaks. So the other thing you want to watch for is if you see play speeding up, or you think it's becoming one-sided, then you want to look at the stress signals in either dog and take a break, move a bit of a distance, get them sitting down, help them relax. And then that way you're creating a chance for your dog to experience appropriate play, and you're advocating for them. You don't want to just let them work it out, because that can become dangerous. So, you want to set up for success. So, you definitely want to look at these factors for your dog. Um, and, if you have somebody that's letting your dog play with your dog and they don't want to have the breaks, then I would say that that person is not a good fit, and they're not understanding, um, what your dog and their dog needs to experience. So, um, yeah, again, you want to um, look at matching your dog's play styles. You want to make sure it's being done in a big enough space. There are some places that could be too small. If you have a small yard, it might be enough for just two dogs and that's it. You want to see that back and forth. You want to see them stopping. You want to see, the turn taking, I'll chase you, you chase me, and looking for stress signals. We've got two dogs here, well paired, same breed. And they're back and forth. You're seeing a lot of the crescent shapes. If you're, I'll just pick those out. Those are happening. And, these are nice play sessions. So you should be able to see crescent shapes in your dog's bodies as they move, and there should be some space between them. And so good dog play, no matter the style, should be loose and wiggly, right? True or false? It was true. If you start to see the play speeding up, take a break and move to a distance that will help your dog relax. True or false? False. Intensity can cause injuries, especially to adolescent growing dogs. True or false? True. So, how to break up play if needed. So, please don't take this information as a dog fight. This is when play is starting to become a little more intense. It's nice to have the breaks and to calm down and de escalate before things become too intense. Adolescent dogs often want to engage in high arousal play. And again, they are risk takers at this stage, and we want to be careful about that. And it can lead to undesirable interactions becoming a habit, depending on the dogs. And then it can turn into a dog fight really quick if it's left to escalate. So you want to prevent physical and damaging social experiences, because that is key depending on the breed. There are some dogs, that breed types, that hold grudges. So you want to practice bringing your dog away from interacting for short periods before allowing them to return and engaging appropriately. And there's a few techniques that you can use. It is important to practice this well before you're having interactions. So you can have a treat lure, a treat magnet to lure your dogs away from interacting. You can use this out of the situation. Use something your dog really likes. It's important to only use this technique if neither dog has resource guarding issues. If they do struggle with other dogs around things that are important to them, choose a separate method. Another option is to recall your dog to you and reward them for coming. Be sure to practice this recall around other dogs on lead or along line, not necessarily during play, and make sure it's really reliable before letting your dog off leash to play with other dogs. The other method is to hold your dog's harness to interrupt the play. Again, you want to practice holding your dog's harness out of the situation, and encourage your dog to relax with you before restarting play. You may need to put the lead back on and then start engaging with them. You can put some treats on the ground for them to start sniffing. It gets their prefrontal cortex working again instead of their emotional brain. And if your dog hasn't perfected these skills yet, restrict access to play until you have some reliable skills and a safe way of intervening and breaking up play. So working out of the situations so that you can work in the situations will help prevent your dog from getting into trouble with another if play gets out of hand. So, training and behavior is not linear. This is a period where you want to really understand this repetition, practice, and consistency, distractions, distance, and durations. Those three equal difficulty. So you want to be very careful. Like I said, ask yourself, have I trained this? You do not want to add distractions at great distances. Those are that's a double D, which equals extreme difficulty. So you want to work on these things separately until you can bring them together. It's not going to happen in a week. It's not going to happen in 2 weeks. It depends on your learner, but just enjoy having fun. It's all part of the learning. You might see a bit of a decline, and like I say, that is perfectly normal during adolescence because their emotional brain is disconnecting from the prefrontal cortex, which is like their CPU. So those blips will definitely have an effect. It's always a balance and never a straight line. So, want to be mindful of that. So, like I say, they're not processing information properly. Parts of the brain are under development and is, like I say, overriding the executive part of the brain. So, you will see some overreactions during this phase because it's their emotional brain. I've seen it personally with my own dogs as well. It's a little bit alarming when you do see it and you go, oh my God, what happened to my wonderful puppy that was fine with things? And those are moments when, the brain is cut off from the prefrontal cortex. So, and remember, environments are extremely inviting at this stage. So you want to make sure that you take every opportunity to reinforce your dog. It's great to, even use long lines in your backyard. That way you can pick it up and reward your dog all the way back to the doorway and deliver several treats inside the door. The long line is going to be your friend while working with your dog, and this still helps with giving them some freedom they are seeking without having to be completely off leash. I see a lot of puppy owners during the puppy phase. Puppies recall is really good because that developmental stage, their brain is programmed not to be far away from their mom. So they are more likely to be called back very easily. And the adolescent phase is the exploration phase where they're getting braver and the environment is now where they're focusing. So this is a really fun game. You can supercharge your dog's rewards and remember the environment is often um, you know, more interesting than ever before. So our dogs may be tuning us out. It's the best time to ramp up our training and keep things fun and easy. A recall is all about a proximity to us. We want to build a lot of engagement for being around us. We want to make recalls fun with no pressures. And this is a really fun game to supercharge. You can use treats that are large enough for your dog to easily see. Show your dog the rewards, put down the reward, and then when your dog is finished eating, move away with a little jog. That little jog is creating experience and within the environment because dogs like to chase, and that will encourage your dog to run to you, and then you can give them multiple treats in front of you again. So this is a really fun game. There's no pressure. It's easy, and you're making that whole experience is not only about the treats, it's also about the running and chasing towards you. So more is better, more is a bigger motivator, and more is high value. So don't think about just giving one treats. I like to use at least three. I'm giving this puppy a little bit more, but I like to use the power of three, where you're giving one, two, three. because it takes on the value of a bigger motivator and a higher value reinforcer. And yes, sometimes in public, we do need to use a bigger paycheck during adolescence. So the 3-day, 3-week, 3-month rule, some of you may have seen this for those of you that have brought your adolescent dog home from the shelter. If you think about it and you just started a new job or moved to a new school or visiting somebody, that sense of feeling of unfamiliar place, new surroundings, new people, new rules, you don't know what the routines are, it's unpredictable, you don't know when breakfast is coming, you don't know when lunch is being served. So 3 stages of a dog's puppy and adjustment, adapting to their new situation. The amount of time for each dogs will definitely vary. And just thinking about the 333 gives you a very big approximation. Okay. It's not exact and it will be very dependent on, what your adopted dog has experienced before, if they have anxiety, if they've experienced some trauma, and each period will need more treatment. So your dog will probably be overwhelmed when they first come in if they're not overly confident. So don't be alarmed if they don't want to eat the first couple of days, couple of weeks, even couple of months. I've seen where they're just settling in. They don't know what's happened. They may shut down. They just may want to curl up in a cozy space. So that's fine. And they could be scared. And again, they don't know what's happening. Um, and he may be the opposite and test you to see what he can get away with. So there are those types as well. And just keeping things positive. I like to do a lot of hand feeding. Whenever I've had fosters in my home, and that helps build the trust, and it helps them learn to come closer to me. I may not necessarily make them take it out of my hand right away, but you'll start seeing them settle in and feel more comfortable, realizing that, okay, maybe I'm staying here for a while. Maybe they've figured out their environment and start getting into a routine. That's why routines for newly adopted dogs is very helpful. That predictability for the brain has a calming effect. And then you'll start seeing some behavior, some personality. You might see some behavior issues start showing. So show them what's right and wrong in a kind way, by rewarding the good, and then redirecting to something else, attention noises to move them away. And then just look at how, you're always wanting to pay into that trust account, and bonding with your dog, giving them that sense of security. So now that you have a better understanding of what's going on, you want to think about weekly practicing. I like to take on the 24/7 approach to training to build it into my daily interactions. Yes, I might stop and do little training sessions here and there for my dog to learn the concept, but then I may present it in a variety of ways throughout my day. Create that schedule and routine that works with you. Once your teen is somewhat settled, there is room for flexibility and changing. Sometimes routines can be bad if they can create some stress, and that depends on the dog. Sometimes it could be around meal times, going for walks. And that's where I start adjusting a little bit so that the dog can become a little more flexible. You want to have that can do attitude, create that reinforcement rich life, and have fun when you train your dog. So, thank you so much for listening to this and taking the time. I really appreciate it. what's next. If you have any questions, I would love to learn more about you and your dog. You can message me if you'd like to learn more. We can meet face to face on a Zoom call. You can go to my website and book a free 15-minute discovery call. This is how I like to meet with potential clients, and I can let you know how I work, and we can go from there. Thank you very much.